Oh, there you are. Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to another edition of Adam's Music Box. Today, I want to talk about one of the things that streaming more or less killed off. We'll talk about the others, even though everyone else has, but there's one thing that streaming has effectively gotten rid of that I don't think anyone else has yet talked about, and that is, drumroll please, the compilation album, the greatest hits package, the best of, call it what you will. They used to be ubiquitous. Some of them, like the greatest hits of Queen, have even been bestsellers. So, why has this staple of the music industry for decades gone away? Well, let's look at why they created this in the first place. So, from a commercial point of view, it made sense for the record companies because they didn't have to invest anything into it. The songs had already been recorded, and because many of them, by definition, were hits, they didn't have to worry about anything. One, they didn't have to worry about spending money to fund the recording of anything, and two, they didn't have to worry about will this be a hit because the songs were already hits, at least in the context of the band or artist that the compilation belonged to. Now, from a consumer point of view, it also made sense. Let's say that you liked an artist but didn't necessarily love them, because if you loved an artist, you'd probably have all their albums. If you really liked an artist, you'd have at least some or most of their albums. But if you were just sort of lukewarm, maybe you'd have one album and then a greatest hits album to fill in the blank. And then there were, of course, people who wanted to listen to something in their car. Let's say that you had all of the LPs of your favorite artist, but wanted to hear it in your car, but it was inconvenient to repurchase all of them on cassette, so you bought the greatest hits on cassette or on 8-track, the portable formats of the day. When CDs took over the world and were both portable and high quality, that became less of an issue. But, there were still some people, if they had more money than sense, let's say they'd want a copy of the CD to stay on their shelf at home and another to take with them in their car. That wasn't as unusual as it sounds. So for people, it made sense. It made sense for a certain class of consumer, and there were a lot of them, and it made sense from an economic standpoint from the record labels. Now, why would streaming change all of this? Another drum roll, please. The playlist, because without being burdened by the limitations and the geographical component of a physical medium, there's no shortage or length of any playlist that you can create. You can curate a greatest hits, a best of playlist with 3 songs if you don't really like a band. You can curate a playlist of the 50 favorite songs you have of the band, or you can make a playlist with every single one of their albums front to back, and it takes up precisely no physical space in your life. If you wanted to download it, it might take some space on your hard drive, but if you're just streaming it directly, then the space is for Spotify or Apple or Tidal or Amazon to worry about, not you. So limitations are gone. And so there's really no need to release new compilation albums anymore, because all you need to do is make a playlist or look at a playlist the artist has made for you, look at a playlist that one of your fellow Spotify or Apple or whatever users has made for you, etc. You can collaborate and make a playlist together. You can even, let's say that you have fond childhood memories of the order that the tracks went in on the greatest hits album that you bought for yourself in 1981. You can order a playlist in exactly such an order. So it's redundant. There's no point of having greatest hits compilations anymore, because the exact same thing can be achieved without having to name it. And you have the added flexibility of having more hits than were on the initial LP, tape, or CD. Or, like I said, you can have fewer. So we all know that, for instance, and I did a video on this before, an album doesn't really need to be any specific length anymore. It can be as short or as long as the musician wants to make, and it will be as popular or as unpopular as the audience has an attention span. So you can have an album with 4 songs, which would generally have been called an EP, or you can have a 3-hour album if you want, because you're not limited by the length of an LP or a reel of tape or a cassette tape or the amount of data that you can store on a Redbook compact disc, etc. So anything that had to do with size is sort of out the window. But with Greatest Hits, it was really about more than size. It was a conscious decision to strip away everything and leave only the most popular or most well-known songs, or the songs that the band or the music label really, really wanted you to hear. You don't need that anymore. That being said, vintage Greatest Hits packages are, most of them, but not all, are on Spotify and all the others, but you're not seeing all that many new ones. There will, of course, be some that come out for the people that still like vinyl and other physical formats, because there, obviously, the utility that it had 50 years ago, it still has today. But since the vast majority of music listeners in most of the world are now streaming, it doesn't have the point that it used to have. Let me know what you think about this change. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it really make no difference? There's a strong argument that it makes no difference because with the ubiquity of custom playlists, the Greatest Hits album is now everywhere. Everything's a Greatest Hits album. That's sort of what a playlist is. So, the king is dead. Long live the playlist. There you go. Like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.